We will be recording, and this will be available for you if you want to see it post the workshop, and we'll let you share it with people within your club, etc. What we really want to make sure this evening is nice and interactive. And if you do have any questions, then please either pop them in the chat box, which is our third member who's helping us this evening, Sean, who, if you want to pop on and say hello, Sean.
Yeah, hi everybody. So I'm Sean and I'm a development officer at Think Active. So
Brilliant, good.
Nice to meet the rest of you.
And Sean will be managing the chat box. So if you want to put things in the chat box, please do. And then Sean will share that with the whole group or answer it directly. But if there are any questions and things as we go through, please, we've got an hour. So don't hesitate to come on microphone. The important thing is you don't forget what you want to ask because it's all new to everybody. And I think we've just learned quite a bit since March the 23rd earlier on. So things we're going to cover this evening. Hopefully you've seen these in advance. And what we want to run through is the return to play. How's that going? We want some views from you as well. We know that some clubs are having a bit of a challenge with getting back. I know that hockey got back to their stage 5, which is actually playing games 11-a-side against each other at the weekend. So that's a change. Swimming, some clubs have been back, some clubs haven't. Various sports at various stages. Indoor sports are at slower stages. Combat sports are still not there yet for obvious reasons. But we also want to show you some other things around funding, reactivate, which might help you in terms of your return to play. Some opportunities that Think Active have got locally, and then also an opportunity for you to ask questions. There's no stupid questions in this whole sort of pandemic bit, and we'll hope to sort of answer them, or we might have to delay them. I'm trying not to do like that government ministers do, but try to delay them and get back to you. But it's important that we all share good practice. So if there are any things, then please do just shout up at any point during just come on off mute and just ask the question. NGB stuff in terms of return to play. I think the simple thing around this is that if you don't follow the governing body guidelines, you negate your insurance. That's the sort of starting point. So I think it's following those governing body guidelines that are laid out. And I know that governing bodies are having a real challenge with putting their return to play things together, having to run it through the DCMS all the time. I think there are different challenges that appear to be coming on board with those sports that own or lease their own facilities and have particularly outdoor facilities. So obviously golf and tennis were back pretty early, and cricket's been back for a while now. But the indoor sports, I think, are having a challenge with returning back to play, partly because it's still new in terms of the size of activity within indoor facilities, particularly. And I think one of the challenges that we're finding is that sports halls based on the guidelines from government are turning those spaces into fitness spaces as opposed to sporting spaces, so that large activities, spin classes or aerobics, etc., can be used. So there's different experiences, and really, we really want to hear from you now. What's happening with you guys? So anybody want to come on? How are your experiences in terms of return to play? Anybody want to kick us off at all about where they're at with their return to play? any cricket clubs or hockey clubs or any clubs, please just come on microphone and start speaking.
Hi, I don't mind. I'll go.
Yeah, fire away.
Hi, so my name's Melanie. I've run a company called Go Girl Birmingham. So
Yeah.
we run the Go Girl youth sessions over at the Auckland Horse Centre in the Cars area. So for us, because we're not really doing anything physical at the moment, and we wasn't really doing anything physical before the lockdown because we were just getting the club up and running. So we're more of an open access youth centre for girls and young women who need some guidance and support around child sexual exploitation, gang culture and gang crime. Have I frozen?
No, we can still hear you.
Sorry.
No, you're still there.
So for us, it's about when we can access the sessions again, and then how we can prepare to make it around COVID and get the right guidance in place before we can actually open the doors for the youth clubs again.
Right. So I think probably yeah, you've got some coaching guidelines which are there in terms of standard coaching guidelines. But I think again there's some guidelines around participation. But I mean again you apply the basic social distancing rules, I think. But are you finding that those that have maybe not been connected as much through Zoom or phones, or are they having more challenges than others?
Yeah, so we've been able to offer a really good support package through social media platforms over the lockdown. So we've been offering virtual mentoring, online workshops, and supporting the girls that way. I think the difficulties we have with some of the girls is because they are quite vulnerable in terms of self-harm and substance misuse. It's just the face-to-face checking in on them regularly. And for those who we know that are at risk of CSE or already involved in the child sexual exploitation stuff, if they don't come on, like a couple of girls in particular haven't been online or haven't communicated with us for a couple of weeks, there's always that worry that, you know, we're not safeguarding them and we can't keep them safe. So it's more of trying to get one-to-one sessions with them as soon as possible, really.
And their social network, or
sometimes they don't, if they have run out of data on their phone in the household that they're in, don't have internet, because some of the girls that we're working with are really struggling and they don't really have much. So for those who can't access these social media platforms, it's quite a challenge for us.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking more of their personal social network as opposed to their social. No, it's all right. No. I think that network of friends, I think it's been massive during lockdown. You know, when it's been lacking and when it's there, I think as well.
Yeah, and I think some of the girls that initially, when we met with them or got referrals from other agencies, they were already socially isolated.
Right.
So now with lockdown, it's just 10 times worse. But obviously, we can't change that.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. How have other clubs, in terms of now they are returning, have they lost members? Because what we're hearing, and I chair Westmorland Swimming, but what I'm hearing from swimming clubs is that generally there's about a 1% drop off of membership. Actually, membership has been okay. So I'd welcome views on other clubs about their membership, whether their membership has stayed or whether they've lost any. I know people have done some imaginative things on Zoom and other networking. Any comments from any clubs at all about their sort of members, their level of membership coming back?
This is Irene Grice, Nuneaton Tennis Club.
Hi, Irene.
Hi. We lost a few members initially, but that was just a natural drop off. It was
no more than any other year?
No more. I mean, what we did was, because we weren't able to play when was it? April and part of May and part of March, we did reduce our membership fees, and And then when we did open at the end of May, we were starting to pick up players, particularly youngsters.
Okay.
And then once our coaching got underway, a very limited, in a very limited way, we did pick up more youngsters because it really was about the only means of activity that that they'd got. And I think some parents were thinking that, oh, great, we can find something for them to do
at last
during lockdown.
Yeah.
As far as the adult membership is concerned, we're absolutely buzzing at the moment. We normally have social sessions Sunday morning, Monday evening, Tuesday morning, and a Thursday morning. The Monday is particularly popular, so much so that we were thinking of extending this to Saturday afternoons to accommodate all the people who were interested.
Brilliant.
We haven't started this yet because with people going away on holiday, it has reduced a little bit on a Monday. So we're finding that most courts are available, are played on a Monday. Tuesday morning, it's more or less for the oldies, but don't tell them that I've said that.
The mature ones, I think you said.
Sorry?
Yeah. The mature ones.
Yes, yeah. People like myself who are retired, and that's very popular.
So you've not really lost any membership during the... No, brilliant.
No,
Anybody else from any other clubs that are...
Simon, I've just seen that Francis has got their hand up. I don't know if they would like to...
No, fire away, yeah. No, just come on, Mike.
I'm going to say I'm Francis and I'm secretary of Anti-Cricket Club. So we were one of the first brought back.
Yes.
And we've had loads and pages and pages of guidance from UCB. They also sent out a cleaning pack for us. We've had hand gels, sanitizers. So they can support us that way. We don't have keys. That's the one thing. That's a no changing room. Because cricket is quite a social thing, and the key is, in some cases, the main attraction.
It's funny you say that because that's what we're picking up nationally. In that, yes, people have missed their sport, but they've missed the social connection with the club.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Okay. And brilliant. No, thanks for that. It's really useful. Anybody else on any club that's maybe not back yet, or is nearly there, or any hockey clubs? Hi.
Hi, my name's Rebecca. I represent Leamington Community Boxing Club. We're a community boxing club, and we don't create active fighters. We're more of a train to keep fit type of club. We do a lot of work with
people. You just train with
we hit bags. Normally we would spar, but obviously we're not doing that at the moment. And we've got we're based on the Sikh temple site in Leamington. I don't know if anyone knows it. So we have a really sort of diverse community that works with us. We do an awful lot of work with kids, so ranging from 5 up to sort of 18. And we have a sort of a kids session every weekday evening. Then we have a satellite club, which is initially funded by yourselves, which is a lot of teenagers, predominantly girls, who have then trained to be junior coaches and things. So then they help feed back into the club and work on the other nights to help us support the younger groups. Obviously, we've been in contact sport. We've got quite a few things that we can't do. We can't spar. We can't go within the meter, etc., etc. So we've had to adapt our club. We were working outside as much as we could, and we've got some outdoor space. We've had some portable boxing bags and things that we've bought.
Oh, brilliant.
So we've been able to work outside a lot as much as possible, but obviously the weather's changing a little bit now. And we've had to put up partition screens between all our boxing bags that are hanging. So we've had to make quite a few changes, and obviously we can only have a certain amount of people in the indoor space, which is fine. It just means that parents can't come and watch and hang around like they would do. So we've had to make a few changes like that, but people have been very happy to accommodate us. We could take more people every day because people want to have something that's active and busy and physical. It's a 1 hour really good train. We've actually been able to start some new sessions since we've been able to open. So we could open at the end of July like everyone else, but obviously with our restrictions, so we wouldn't be able to do any sort of pad work or sparring or anything. So nothing that we'd normally do. So it's literally sort of
combat
static
sports
back.
are really way down the list.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But even pad work, which isn't necessarily combat, it's sort of practice. We're not allowed to do anything like that. So we've had to adapt our sort of training sessions. But since lockdown eased a little bit, we've been able to. We've got some funding from yourselves actually. We've been able to put on some extra classes. So we've got new teenage girls session for people who maybe have sort of emotional and mental health issues that have been exacerbated by the lockdown. So we've got a whole new session of that. We've also got another mixed teenagers session. So people who maybe were able to keep themselves fit, but not to the extent they wanted to. And like I say, it's a bit more of the social interaction that comes with that because it's a very similar age group. So they're really loving the fact that they can now go and socialise outside of school because most of them are sixth formers. We've got quite a few people who've been shielding who've approached us that don't want to go into a mainstream gym anymore. And they're too nervous to go to a mainstream gym, but because we've got quite a few bits of cardio and lots of circuit stuff there, we'll be able to provide
mainstream boxing gym or a mainstream fitness?
No, mainstream nor fitness gym.
Yeah.
So and they're part of the Sikh temple community, so they've approached us, so we've been able to put on sort of bespoke sessions for groups of people shielding. So quite often, because of the extended families in the Sikh community, a lot of people are very worried about the other people in their household. So if someone is asthmatic themselves, they don't want them to go home living with mum and dad and feel that they can possibly bring something in. So we've created quite a few bespoke shielding sessions for households that can come and work with us, which is great. And we do quite a lot of work with people with learning difficulties. So we've been able to slot one of our new members back in and put a junior coach in with him. So we've been able to accommodate the changes quite well and keep people active and busy. So we're really chuffed with what we've been able to do, really.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Anybody else? Any other clubs? Some great examples there.
Yeah, Simon, it's me again. Sorry. Padre has got his hand up. I hope I've said your name right. Really sorry.
Paddy's much easier. Don't worry about it. Some very interesting stuff there from Rebecca. That's really good. I'm Paddy Hurley. I'm from Warwick District Council, so a bit of an interloper just to hear how the clubs are getting on.
You can interlope away.
I think one of the things that interests me the most is how those that are coming back are experiencing unexpected changes. So some of the stuff there that Rebecca has been responding to is brilliant. But down here, I live in Kent, and our tennis club, for example, has had a lot more members like Irene's, but they only want to play the family. So they don't want to join in with the club sessions. So that's a challenge for us because they just want to use the courts. And the other one, in my professional life up in Warwick, we've got football back now, and we've got an almighty problem, which is that because of COVID, you can't bring 3 or 4 young footballers in the same car. Yeah. Everybody's got to bring the new car, and we have traffic chaos in all directions. They couldn't train from March, so they're all desperate to train on the same bit of grass to get the pitch going, and we won't have any pitches for them by the time the season gets properly underway because they're all training too much. So, as I say, I would be very interested to hear.
Really?
Sorry?
I don't know whether it's good or bad.
Well, no, I'm still working on that one. But so it's interesting for me how those sports that have come back are experiencing unexpected changes. That would be interesting as well.
I think also, can I just say, we've had to make adaptations because normally we'd be able to lend out gloves and we'd be able to lend wraps and things. So we've had to buy loads and loads of wraps for everyone to have their own. And we've had to enter a quarantine system for gloves for people who maybe are new to us who wouldn't have their own. So we literally have to anti-bac all the gloves, disinfect them and quarantine them for 72 hours. So we've had to invest in new equipment. So we've got enough to be able to facilitate everyone who wants to come in. So there have been quite a few changes that we've had to do. And then probably like everyone else, how much anti-bac do you need?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is you're getting too many people in a way.
It's brilliant, honestly. It's lovely, and it's really nice to see the place busy again.
Anybody had challenges in terms of the use of facilities at all? Because there's huge challenges for leisure operators to open up, and I know some clubs have had pressures on time, etc. Yeah, no, fire away. Anybody?
Hi, Bryn Williams, Meriden Lions Football Club.
Hi, Bryn.
Based in Coventry. What we're finding as a football community is obviously sites that are school based have massive restrictions in terms of letting outside of hours due to COVID. So there's touching on your previous question about membership, we're getting a lot of people switching clubs or looking for clubs that can actually facilitate training at the moment, because they have their own grounds, whereas some clubs that are school based, the schools have said that they can't go back until January next year. So we've got an issue where there isn't enough facilities in the area to facilitate what we previously were doing. I don't know if anyone else is finding that.
I think that's it.
Simon, Paddy here again, just to jump in on that. How stupid of me to miss that. I think that is our biggest problem. The slight problem is that they can't car share and that they need to train a lot. But the biggest problem is we're getting all the schools cast offs because the schools are shut. So all the clubs are having to come and try and train on the council pitches rather than the school pitches. Massive problem.
I think I'm interested in if any. I don't know if there are any facilities that have been managed by school letting services have gone into administration. I know from a hockey point of view, England Hockey encouraged clubs to actually have a conversation with the school and actually can they run that facility for them, outside of community time as a club running the facility. I don't know if anybody else has experienced that from a school letting service point of view.
Well, hello everybody. I'm Paul Negus. I'm from Atherstone Hockey Club.
Hi, Paul.
Yeah, so we play at the Queen Elizabeth School in Atherstone, and they were slightly delayed in allowing us access to the pitch. We could only get it from Monday, the 7th of September. But before that, there's a private school in Market Bosworth had an Astro pitch, and we could use that for the whole month of August. But now the school, we work with the school, and I've talked to the council representatives and the school, and we've done a risk assessment, and they've allowed us back, but not the footballers. And I don't know why that is.
I don't know what that says. No editorial comment needed, I think. Yeah.
So we're okay, but we know that Nuneaton Hockey Club had a problem with Etone getting back, although they're back there now.
I think that, I know they played at the weekend. Yeah.
So the schools are being accommodating. They're a couple of weeks behind, but they are seem to be accommodating now. We played this weekend just gone, and we're playing the next weekend as well.
I think it's pushed back to the governing bodies as well. But look, no, brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody. If you've got any other views, etc., please save them up. We've got a little bit of thing at the end, and hopefully we'll give that opportunity for you to share stuff. But one or two things that might help you is the Reactivate site. I don't know if any of you used it or booked on. It's open to both leisure facilities, local authorities, private sports clubs, voluntary sports clubs, etc. What it is an online training to give those people that are COVID leads or are involved in anything related to COVID about training them about how they can get their activity up and running. It's free of charge. It's funded by Sport England. I'm a little bit biased because our company, we've done the club and voluntary sector element of it. If you're a leisure centre, then it's a slightly different thing. But anybody is entitled to go on there, but you've got to go through as an organisation. So the club can go on there, and then I know of some clubs that have then used it and said, right, everybody who is involved with getting us back going again has done some training. Some of it is a little bit over the top because you've got leisure centre practice applied to cricket clubs. So Kosh and stuff like that, you might well not need that training, but it's worthwhile looking at that because certainly I chair a hockey club up in Sutton Coldfield. And we've got 80 volunteers now involved with the COVID return. We've got about 14, 15 teams. So actually, we needed that to actually train everybody, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. But it's relatively easy. Well, it is easy to log on, but the organisation needs to log on, and then you can access that and give free of charge, and you get a little certificate at the end. And it gives a little bit of confidence. I think the one or two things we're picking up is clubs that are using leisure centres are finding it useful, and also clubs that have got their own facilities. So the cricket clubs, hockey clubs, football clubs, bowls, tennis, etc., that own their own or asset own or lease their own facilities. I don't know. Are any of you been involved with Reactivate or use Reactivate at all? Anybody just want to come on to mic, or just there is over 1,000 organisations that have gone on there, just by the way. So it's not short of a few people, but it's worthwhile if you want to go on there. Certainly, it's worthwhile, and just gives a little bit of training, and also is quite good for those that are wanted to collect certificates if they're going on. If they're doing, say, a degree in sports coaching or something like that. There's a number of little opportunities on there, so hopefully that will give you an idea about something you can do. In terms of funding, the government have talked about a £55 million pot to actually help sports organisations and sport come back to life. We're not quite sure how that's going to manifest itself. I think it was initially came out as it's going to be the stimulation fund, but actually it's probably changed, because I think it's now very much, that people are coming back in a very staggered way. So we've mentioned boxing, we mentioned football, hockey, cricket, tennis, etc. this evening, but you think about wrestling and other sports, and rugby have obviously got their challenges as well. So there will be potential opportunities for funding, and that, I think, we seem to think will run through active partnerships, but also will be targeted around, some of the groups that we've touched upon here, the more vulnerable groups, women and girls, BAME groups, disabled groups, and also looking at older people. I think there is an issue, certainly within some sports, around officials being 50 or 60 plus, and the confidence about coming out and getting involved with sporting events, whether it's local or otherwise. I know hockey have looked at their umpire workforce. Swimming looked at their, officials around the pool for events, etc. And maybe their profile is in that mature end of it. And so that big group of funding will come out relatively soon. But there's other sources of funding there. I know Hayley, do you want to just touch on the Think Active ones here?
Yeah, of course. So we're trying to get as much information on our website as we can, just so it's available to you guys. We have 2 funding pages at the moment. So we have our general funding page, which can be found on our club toolkit. The link's on there, but there will be an information sheet that I send out following this with all the details on. But those are funding pots that were basically pre-COVID. And then in response to COVID, we have our COVID resource page on our website. And one of the FAQs in that is funding available. So any funding that we're becoming aware of that can potentially help clubs and groups during COVID, it's on there. So there's things like the Heart of England Resilience Fund, the Severn Trent, Aviva. So it's quite a wide range. So it may be worth taking a look at that if funding is something that you need help.
I did talk to Heart of England about a week or so ago, and they manage comic relief, sport relief, etc. And there is likely to be a change in funding from those charities as well. The other one that's really popular, which again, I mean, Sport England have been brilliant through this process, and I'm sure some of you access the emergency fund, the rate reliefs, etc., things like that. But the one that's quite interesting, and again, it's worthwhile.
Oh, Simon's gone. That's useful. Right. So I'll try and fill why Simon sorts his IT problems out. That's one of the main problems as a result of COVID, IT issues. The crowdfundme pages apparently are working quite well at the moment, with clubs being able to fundraise for themselves. I don't know if any of you have tried that previously. Is funding something that you as clubs need at the moment, or is it just a case of getting to grips with guidelines in order for you to be able to get your sessions back going. If anyone wants to jump in.
Yeah, we're definitely struggling for funding, because we initially had Think Active funding for a small period of time pre-lockdown. So it's completely run out now. So we're actually just self-funding and doing some voluntary work during COVID. We have actually applied for about 14 different funding bids, but we've been really unsuccessful with ours for some reason.
Okay. Yeah, writing bid applications, I think, is quite an art.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's good to know, actually, because if that keeps cropping up, then it may be that we need to look at obviously trying to find that art so that we can share it with you guys. So when you do put in an application, your chances of securing that funding is potentially a little bit higher.
Okay.
One of the bits while Simon is sorting himself out, the next bit we were going to go on to was learned practices. So Simon was going to do his little bit, and then I was going to highlight 3 case studies that we have captured locally. One of them being Nuneaton Tennis Club. Now, I apologise, Irene, you can probably bring this far to life better than I can. But I can touch on the 3 case studies. I can share my screen. So for those who are signed up to our newsletter, you may have seen these. So there's 3 clubs we've highlighted here. So Irene, please, feel free to jump in where you'd like to. But Nuneaton Tennis Club, one of our colleagues, Sam, the sport development officer in Nuneaton, happened to see how well Nuneaton Tennis Club were doing. So some of the things they have brought in is adhering to the LTA's guidelines, so things like social distancing, hand sanitizer before and after play. I think everyone's going to be fed up with hand sanitizer at the end of this. The clubhouse being closed except for toilets, which I think a lot of people may be experiencing. The no sharing of equipment, and then instead of the traditional shaking hands at the end of a game, it's just the touching of rackets. And they've actually been able to reduce their annual membership in order to support their members, and they have been able to do this through financial assistance from the government, which is great. Courts must be pre-booked, which has helped with the track and trace, as well as names on booking sheets. And then members have been particularly good at utilising WhatsApp to create little groups to make sure that if people want a game, they can organise games in that way. So Irene, I hope I've done that justice. We've also, I think
you've included everything that I said to Sam.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's fine.
Brilliant. We've also spoken to a Bhangra Fit session. So this is one lady, and she runs Bhangra Fit dancing for women in Leamington. So pre-COVID, they were indoors in a school. Lockdown happened, and she didn't want to let her ladies down, so she moved it online. So she moved it to Facebook, and then ever since lockdown has been easing, she's been moving it outside. So she's managed to find a hard standing area by Newbold Common. And some of the new things that she's brought in, new measures she's brought in, is all participants must pre-book. She's restricting the numbers to the latest guidance. She has cones down that are marked out at 2 metre spaces. So when you're in your little area, though, you know that's where you're sticking to. And then participants must bring their own water. And she's started to use props. Now, the props for 1 week apparently was mops. I don't know how that all fits together, but apparently it was great. And then the last one is Calcer Leamington. Now, I'm aware we've got a Calcer Leamington coach on here, so I'll try and include everything. So their hockey team have been adhering to the England hockey guidelines. So that came out a month ago now. So they were able to do training sessions within small groups, which were non-contact. So they've been opening up their training sessions to small groups of around 6. It started off, and it's slowly been getting more as the restrictions lift. but they've been concentrated on drills and adapting their training sessions so there was no contact. And then they also have been implementing their track and trace register that each participant must complete prior to training, turning up to the training session. So those are just 3 clubs in our area, just to give you a bit of a flavour of what is going on locally, and hopefully as more clubs start reopening, we'll happily promote what more clubs are doing, as it's great to see that so many clubs are adhering to the guidelines and being able to reopen, which is quite nice.
Thanks, Hayley. I'm back again.
That's good.
You're on Mr. Sky. I think I don't know what you heard. I think I was just about to talk about the Sporting and crowdfunding relationship, which is if you over this period are seeking to fundraise, then you can look to go into the crowdfunding relationship, which actually then matches what you raise. So if say targeting to raise £4,000 for the sake of argument, and you registered that, then as soon as you get to 1,000, they will give you that 25%. So there's opportunities there if you're fundraising. But again, you know, you can do that through the Sporting England crowdfunding site. So just some things here that you probably are aware of in terms of other support. We thought it important to put in, there's still support available, obviously the furlough scheme and the rate relief, etc., running out now, but there are, you know, still some guidance around support that you can gain, and there's been particularly challenges around self-employed status, and that information has changed quite a bit, and then I think Hayley very much gave some sort of learned practice and things that we're picking up. And actually, the things we're picking up nationwide are that, you know, there are clubs that are increasing their membership, believe it or not, during this period. We found gymnastic clubs that actually have put their waiting lists onto Zoom activity, and then people have joined in and become members of the club. So actually, they've increased their membership without actually getting back to activity. So there's 1 or 2 clubs that are doing stuff. I mean, Hayley touched on some really good practice. Other things that we're picking up is about clubs working together and how they're using their experiences in coming out of COVID, into particularly the cleaning of equipment and how to actually maybe give particular teams or particular groups their own equipment so they can work with that. Now that is costing the club more money, but the investment in that is well worth it in terms of the return to play, etc., and return to activity. I think the other bit that has been relevant in certain parts of the country is the lobbying of local MPs. And actually, that has actually stimulated the opening up of facilities. And I think there are quite a lot of challenges with leisure providers. I know down in the southeast and out west in sort of Shropshire, there are 1 or 2 challenges with leisure operators who are financially really struggling, and 1 or 2 near administration or worse, I'm afraid. There's a couple of standoffs in London between leisure operators and facilities, and I think, you know, what we'd really like to know and feed through to Hayley and Sian is any experiences that you're finding of local authorities that are having 1 or 2 challenges. I know of a swimming club that was offered weekdays 11 till 2 in the day as opposed to evening sessions because the leisure operator didn't want to open up in the evening. So, you know, that's where, how can you lobby your local MP and use, you know, in this case, Think Active very much to lobby on your behalf. Any challenges that people are finding? Please come onto microphone and describe those if you have any. More than welcome to discuss them now. What are key challenges that people are facing?
Hello, it's Paul Eagers here again from Atherstone Hockey Club. The biggest question we've got, which we're really sort of seeking advice on, from the research we've done, it seems that the England Hockey And the government advice is for this. I'm thinking about socialising now. The teas after the game is it's limited to groups of 6 people. But our clubhouse is a combination with cricket, rugby, hockey, and football. They've had a risk assessment done with North Warwickshire Borough Council, and they've been given permission to host up to 36 people inside that clubhouse. Obviously, it can only be one sport at a time, because you're talking about normally 30 people if the opposition come back as well.
Yeah, when the cricket season finishes, it'll help as well, I think. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so we're getting, but the advice from England Hockey and government is just 6 people at a time, which would say no teas at all, and that's what most hockey clubs seem to be doing at the moment. While we're confused, is so not providing any teas, whereas the clubhouse has got permission from North Warwickshire Council to host 36 people. So what can we do or can't do, and what are other people experiencing on that? Because obviously we'd like to do the social part.
You can't win whichever way you do it, really, at the moment. And I know hockey and cricket have faced challenges with this. And I think cricket, when they first came back, and there'll be cricket clubs on here that will know this better than I will, it was bring your own teas. And I think at the moment that probably is the guidelines that hockey would advise. I think your challenges around insurance are you breaching the England hockey guidelines? But then you've got another element of your clubhouse, which is defined in a different way. I think probably I would take advice from England Hockey and say this is what we'd like to do in terms of the provision of teas, and just test that. I think because this is all new, I think it is to not necessarily press the barrier, but let's see if there is an issue there where you can get. You're probably looking at 25 people in the room to have a tea after a game.
Yeah, 25 to 30. Yeah.
So you're not far away from the limit, but it's how are you making sure that social distancing is carried out and that you're meeting the requirements of social distancing, but providing that after match thing is really important. I think at the moment, I speak personally from the club I'm involved in. At the moment, we've decided not to do any teams. We've decided let's just get the games going, and let's see from there. If and when the league starts, because I know there's a debate now in hockey about when the leagues start, whether they start with no relegation, with points, whatever. So I think when that is clearer, I think then the social element of the club after match will be decided. But I think if you've got that challenge, I would put that through Paul Smith at England Hockey. And that's the question.
Yeah, I know Paul. Yeah, and I appreciate that. So I think it's good advice. I think I'll do it for him, because we've got this dilemma. Because the club's been approved to do it, but so we could do it technically. So, but obviously our default position is we're not going to offer teas until it's completely clear.
Yeah, I think that's sensible. I mean, again, if you go against England hockey guidelines, your insurance is invalid. However, I don't think your insurance covers for you when you're providing teas.
Right.
Because your insurance is about playing.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that.
I don't know whether that was an answer, non-answer, or what really. But...
Well, yeah, it's a confusing one, isn't it? I think for all of us. So it's you've got these sort of these competing guidelines. So I just wanted to get a feel what you guys had seen, or if anybody else had heard anything on that front.
Are there any cricket clubs there that have experienced this? And I know I did speak to someone who played his first game and conceded a lot of runs, got run out without scoring, split his trousers and forgot his tea on the first weekend. So he didn't do that. Any cricket clubs that had any experience?
It's Frank from Ansley again. Our players just bring their teas and we sit outside and have our tea.
Yeah.
And it might make a slightly shorter tea break as well. But I tend to sit with my back to them because they score as well. So I've moved to where I sit to score, and the players are behind me.
So in effect, it's a picnic lunch, picnic tea.
Yeah.
I think that might be okay until sort of November, December hits with the hockey and football, etc. Yeah.
Well, yes, I mean, we've only got 2 more Saturdays. But what the Warwickshire Cricket League did this season is that they completely rejigged the whole setup. So we are playing very localised games.
Right.
And we've got no relegation or promotion this year. This is a completely one-off, hopefully, season.
Yeah, so you're not travelling.
Yeah. We're not travelling, thank goodness, because I don't drive. I can walk up to my ground, and then I have to twist my husband's arm to take me to the other ground.
There you go.
Yeah. So I should actually be at Aberdeen Cricket Club on Saturday.
Okay. Any other examples from people who could share their experiences so far? Other than the ones we've had already? Okay. Anything in the chat box at all, Sian, of questions?
Simon, I don't think the chat function's on.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh. Okay. Any other questions from any clubs at all about support from Think Active or other challenges that they're facing? Please just come onto microphone and ask the questions or pop it in the chat box. Anybody else? Okay. Hayley, Sian, do you want to tie things up from a Think Active point of view?
Yeah, could you just move on to the next slide for me?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I've just. Oh God. Sorry, my fault. Hang on a sec. Bear with me a moment. There we are. Sorry, I've gone off. There we go. Oh, sorry. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. No, over to you, Hayley. Sorry.
Yes, I've done those 3 case studies. When you
Okay. Anything more you want to add to those at all?
No, it's just in our newsletters and on our social media, if we're seeing any good practice from any of our local clubs, or if there's anything you'd like to share with us, just send it to us. We will happily promote on social media, on our website, on our newsletter, because we just want to spread the good practices that are going on so that other clubs can use that and capitalise on it. And if we can share good practices, it'll only help us all move forward and get through coronavirus as and when we can.
Get to Christmas. Just from a national point of view, I don't know if any of you have accessed the Club Matters workshops or Club Matters website. It's Sport England /Club Matters, and it's got an enormous amount of support on there. There's a club development tool, so a lot of information about governance and planning. There are 6 workshops that we've currently got, and there again you can open access those, and any members are very welcome. They are free of charge, and we look at legal structure, review of whether you need a different legal structure. There's planning for the future, marketing, volunteer experience, looking at recruit, retain, recognise, reward volunteers, participant experience, looking at how maybe you look at your participants. And we've got a new workshop that's coming on board pretty soon, which is about sustainable funding, and another one around engaging with communities. So you're more than welcome to book on those. I say they're free of charge and available through that Club Matters website. And we're getting a lot of really good feedback. Some clubs that normally would not be able to access workshops because of they're not available, people are not available to travel, or the venues are not suitable. So they're all virtual, like we're doing this evening, interactive, and hopefully people get things from them. So please go on to Club Matters website and have a look. So some sort of final sort of words and final sort of contacts from Think Active and a national point of view. So there's some, there is loads of information out there for clubs. Certainly you should not be wanting either from your governing body or Think Active or from other areas, Sport England, etc., in terms of your support and opportunities to be supported. So that sort of concludes our webinar for this evening.
Sammy, can I just say could you just put that slide back up, sorry?
Oh, yes. Oh, now you challenged me again. Sorry, that last one.
Yes, please, thank you.
Sorry. There we go. Let me just put it onto slideshow. There we go. Oh, sorry. Wrong one.
Yeah, lovely.
There we go.
So I just wanted to say thanks for coming on. I appreciate it's been a whistle-stop tour. We have launched a reopening and returning to physical activity and sports survey, which is the links on this PowerPoint, but again, I've included it on our information sheet. We would just want to find out how clubs are finding reopening their sessions, any challenges or adaptations they're having to go through, and if they need any support, because that way then we can look at providing some more tailored support. So whether it's one-to-one with clubs or more of these webinars but a focus on different topics. We just want to find out a bit more, gain a bit more insight into how you as clubs and groups are getting on. Following this, I'll be sending you an email which contains a short questionnaire just to see how you found this webinar, and that will be accompanied with an FAQ sheet and an information sheet from us with the club support that we can offer you as Think Active. And then also we've also just launched a newsletter, so our second one went out at the end of August, so it'd be great if you guys can sign up to that. It just highlights every month any work that we've been doing, and we also have our COVID-19 resource page that answers some of the frequently asked questions we get, with link to different support and organisations that can help you guys. But please just keep in contact with us, even if you just drop us an email. We'll happily help where we can. But I would say that questionnaire, the survey, sorry, would be a great place to start, because that way we can start collating what clubs need, and then if there's any focus topics, we can look at answering them for you guys. Thank you.
Any questions from anybody? I think Hayley, Sean and I will be just hanging on while for a few minutes afterwards. So if you do want to hang on and just ask us any questions, please do. But any questions or observations on tonight's workshop, then please say now, and hopefully you found it helpful. If you pop in the chat box if you found it helpful, and as well as completing the evaluation, that's always really useful. But any questions, please just fire them away. Otherwise, you're very much free to go and enjoy the evening. And some you can't even do eat out to help out anymore now. Sorry to say. It'd be nice if there was a half price, funded program into sports clubs and fitness centres, but that's another matter.
Simon, the next thing is seat out to help out, to keep our
there you go. I've been trying to think of
no, to keep the theatres alive. That's the next one that's coming. Seat out.
Yeah. Be nice if somebody just came up with support for physical activity in some way, but there we go. Yeah. Maybe I have a vested interest in that too much. Good. Thank you very much, everybody, and
Thank you.
And hope it all goes well getting people back playing again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks ever so much.
there are any questions, then please fire away. I'll